today, just so you know.
I appreciate that, brother. I
There you
appreciate
go.
that.
Had to
high
do it. Had to
school.
do it. There you go.
Okay. All right, this takes about a minute to go live on Facebook. I'll let you guys know exactly when.
Sure.
Chris, you jealous of this head of hair, buddy?
Oh, big time, man.
Troy,
you know
I know
I
you
am.
are too. Let me see your
You know I
dome,
am.
Troy.
I haven't had a cut in over a week because we're quarantined. So so I didn't want Sweet Lou to give me a hard time.
Are you quarantined? Like your family's quarantined, or
My daughter has the virus, so she's
okay.
in her room, and we're in the house.
Hopefully she's doing okay.
Yeah, she's hanging in there.
How old is she?
She's 16.
Okay.
So we got till Tuesday. Then we can get out. We're free again.
Gotcha. KK, have you been vaccinated?
No, I registered. New Jersey teachers were given the option to register. They're supposed to move up on the list to like 1B under healthcare, and over 65 just got released yesterday to set appointments to get vaccinated. I know my mother just made her appointment today.
Right.
My ex-wife, my son's mother, she has it right now. She's not doing too good. She's fighting it, but so the kids are with me, and we're under lock and key. I'm teaching from home. They're each in different bedrooms and rooms doing their own schooling, so it's tough.
Oh boy, yeah, I know that feeling. I got an appointment for Tuesday.
Oh, good for you, buddy. Good.
Yeah, we got him. It was not easy, but we got him. We were able to finagle it somehow.
Good.
Where are you, Chris?
I'm in the Buffalo area, New York, East Aurora.
How about you, Nate?
So I'm in California right now, the East Bay of the Bay Area, but I'm from upstate originally and went to grad school at Buffalo, UB.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Are you from Buffalo originally?
I'm from Rochester.
Got it.
And after I did the Globetrotter thing, my fiance and I lived in Florida for 2 years, and then she's from Orchard Park.
Got it.
So we decided to move back somewhere in the area, and we ended up here in East Aurora, right next. I mean, Orchard Park's 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
Fellas,
whereabouts?
I got to jump in here. We are live. So that conversation that you guys just had in the last minute or so was live, but it's all good. But man, welcome to the show. As you guys know, that I had on some Globetrotter legends last week: Sweet Lou Dunbar, Paul Showtime Gaffney, Matt Showbiz Jackson, and Sweet Lou Dunbar. It was so much fun.
Wild Thing too.
I forget Wild Thing. Oh, excuse me, Wild Thing Wilson. Sorry about that. I'll hear about it later. But I had them on last week, and we were on for 2 hours just telling jokes, telling stories. It could have gone on all night, and I had to cut it short. But I talked to Troy after the show, and Troy said, "Man, you gotta have the generals on, man. We need a platform. We need a voice." So here you are. Okay. So I've traveled the world with you guys. I know a lot about you, but my audience is going to find out a lot about you guys. So I got to introduce you first. I got my paisan up there, Chris Caselmi. What's up, Chris?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Then I got Nate O'Neill, Binghamton up there. What's up, Nate O'Neill?
What's up? Great to be here.
KK, Kevin Cretchy. What's going on, brother?
How are you?
Love that hair, man.
Yeah, man.
Jealous.
And then I got the Sarge, Troy Pennington. What's up, brothers?
What's up, Curly Boo? So good to see you guys.
So good to see you as well, man. I've been, ever since I put you guys on, which was about 7 or 8 minutes ago, I've been smiling. It's such a pleasure to see you. We have such a history, but and I know your history, but people that are watching may not know. So we got to go back before we get to the Globetrotting days that you guys were so much a part of. So please tell everybody your history, how you got involved in the game of basketball, and eventually made it to the Washington Generals. So I'll go with Chris Caselmi. You go first.
Oh man, I tell you, getting involved in basketball, I was kind of the ugly duckling of the family, my own personal family, because everybody was a football person, and I knew we were all tall, but everybody played football. And then one day, I just decided to play basketball and fell in love with it from day one.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'6".
Okay.
And when you're the tallest kid in class, it's kind of the thing you gravitate to, and that's what I did. I had the pleasure of growing up around a great basketball community in Rochester, New York, and suburb of Greece. We had three great high schools with three great high school coaches. I had the pleasure of playing in a crosstown high school from John Wallace, who was a Syracuse star and played in the NBA. So would play with him a lot, and some other guys that were from the Greece area that were pretty inspirational basketball players to look up to, and moved through high school, did pretty well. Went on to junior college at Alfred State, played for a wonderful guy named Tom Curl. I would have played for Tom for 10 years if I had the opportunity. From there, took a scholarship to Armstrong State in Savannah, Georgia. Didn't stay. I was kind of immature and homesick, so I went home and finished my career at Roberts Wesleyan in NAIA school. And then after that, I taught for 2 years. And then it was actually Tim Burkhart, who I met at a Hall of Fame induction at Alfred State, who was a general, and he played for the Generals for years.
Yeah.
And he said to me, if you're ever, if you'd ever want to try this, give me a call. So I think I called him the next day, and he introduced me to John Ferrari. And then I was finishing up my second year teaching, and I called John and said, John, I'm going to move to Florida, and on the way down, I'd love to stop in Atlantic City and meet you. And I stopped in Atlantic City. I had a highlight tape put together, and by this time I think I was 26, and so I was a little older than when most guys started out. Mm-hmm. And John said, "You know what, Chris, we would love to have you. If you're willing to give it a shot, we'd love to have you." And I signed up for it, and that was right when 9/11 happened. So we were supposed to go to all of South America, I believe, and then 9/11 happens, and everything got put on pause, if you remember. And I waited a couple months, and we ended up going to Central America first, and that's where I first met you, Curly, and that's where I met Troy, and then went on a few more tours from there. So that's my introduction. That's my story.
Cool. The text message that you sent me, where you kept a journal of your travels, in which on your first flight we sat next to each other on the plane, and
that's right.
I think that was the beginning of our friendship, because I was close to many of the Washington General players, not all of them, but sure. All of you for certain. And Chris, I do remember you and I had a lot of great conversations back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to switch this over to Nate, Binghamton's finest. Take us back, Nate.
Absolutely. So yeah, grew up in Binghamton, New York, and I think my first memory of basketball was in the second grade, just playing in a little church league, and just remember getting all excited before the game. And now as you get older, you really start to appreciate being able to play, and miss being able to play as much as we did when we were kids. But was a 3-sport guy in high school, played basketball, baseball, and football, and chose to play basketball in college, played at Colgate University, which was about an hour away from my house up in Hamilton, New York. Had a great experience there. Chris, you mentioned John Wallace. My senior year, we got a chance to play in the Dome against John Wallace. They had him and Lawrence Moten, Adrian Autry, and we actually gave him a game for a little bit, but they got us in the end. And great experience playing in the Carrier Dome. And I got done with college, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. Right, my identity was all about being an athlete. I was good in school, but only because my parents told me to be good in school. I just loved to play, whatever it was, right? Basketball, baseball, football, whatever. So here I am, done with college, and trying to find out what's going to happen next. And a guy I played with in college, John Stone, who did a tour with the Generals. He's actually a Rochester guy, Chris.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah. So, he had done a tour, and so he knew Red and said, yeah, if you're interested in doing this, I can connect you with Red. And so he did. Similar, sent a highlight tape. Red actually asked me to come down to Atlantic City, met with him at his house. And then the next thing I know, I'm in Buenos Aires, and it was, it was awesome. That first tour was great experience. I specifically remember Tex Harrison, and just some of the funny things that you think about now. Funny story. So, when we get there, the tour manager is like, "Okay, we're in South America, so we want to be careful about what we consume. Just drink bottled water. Don't drink any tap water. Don't eat any dairy. And if you have a drink with ice in it, drink it fast, right? So the ice doesn't melt, and it's like the water, the bad water in the ice. It was what the concern was. So they said no water and no dairy. So we're walking with a group of guys, and we see Tex, and Tex has this big soft serve ice cream cone, right? And he's just sitting there enjoying it, relaxing. And we say, "Tex, hey, we thought they said, no dairy." And he's like, "That's all right. I'll just eat it fast." And epitomized text, right? So that was the first tour in South America, and then got to travel to 18 countries, shooting jump shots and playing no defense, which I was good at both of those.
There you go.
Well, Nate, I do remember we played Binghamton, your hometown, and the place was sold out. And I remember in the locker room, we were like, we can't let Nate get off tonight. we got to shut Nate down.
Yeah.
It was impossible. You were on fire that night. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
You were on fire that night.
Yeah, for sure. There was when you're on tour, you get up for games, right? But when you're doing it every night, there's different levels of adrenaline. And certainly, that night I was fired up, man. Like you said, the crowd was there, and all my friends were there. So yeah, absolutely great experience. And I just felt like, I had to be aggressive that night, shoot the ball. And luckily, they started to go in. So
they did. I remember meeting your family as well. And
yeah,
I don't know if it was maybe your nephew or nieces or little cousins that I took back with me. Do you remember that at all?
So there was, I actually don't have any little nieces or nephews at that time. But probably some close family friends. Yeah.
Okay. All right, KK.
Hey, Curly.
Yeah.
Curly, before you go to Crutchy there, do you remember we were in France? Nate had, I think, probably like 25 or 30 in the second half. We're going home. The last play, we go down the middle. Somehow y'all messed it up. It kicked out. I grabbed it, kicked it up to Nate. He had a shot. If it goes in, the 3 goes in, we win. You remember this, Nate?
Yeah. Yep.
He squared up. I said, "That's good." Boom, in and out. We lose. I don't know.
I remember hearing that story.
I do remember that too.
Oh yeah. Someone was asking me that earlier. I have some questions for you guys later, but someone asked me, did you guys ever come close to beating us? And I played 18 seasons. There is 3 times that I remember that you guys had a legitimate shot to bring us back to 1971 when your boss, Red Klotz, made the shot to beat the Globetrotters in Martin, Tennessee. And I mean, we were so nervous, because you always hear this stuff, beating the Globetrotters is like shooting Santa Claus and all this stuff that Tex would say, and the Globetrotters can't lose. But there was 3 times that I remember, and that was one of them, in which we had a legitimate shot to lose the game. But I remember Nate. Nate was difficult to guard. I didn't have to guard him, luckily. I usually guarded Troy or the other point guards, but I remember that night in Binghamton, we made a pact. We got to shut him down. We ain't gonna let him get off. We got a packed house tonight. Not gonna let him get off in front of his family and all his friends and the whole town of Binghamton. We won the game, but you won the war. Yes, you did. All right, KK, take us back.
All the way back, man. I was fortunate. I happened to be in the right place at the right time quite often. I mean, I've been playing since I was little. I was never athletically gifted, as you've all seen. Ended up playing at a competitive high school, a basketball-rich, town and community. That was nice. It fueled the competitive.
What community? What town is that?
Bridgewater Raritan. I went to Bridgewater Raritan High School, Central New Jersey. We had a storied program. We had two high schools that had merged into a power school at the time. We had a coach that had won several state titles. So we were, it was a community in New Jersey that was on the map for basketball. I played Division III college. I was $170 going in, and I came out 230. So I had done my work at the time. And then when I graduated, I was selling sneakers at a Nike store in Jackson, New Jersey, at an outlet store. And I said, let me give myself a little bit of a chance here to see what I can do, if I can play somewhere, somehow. I had been overseas with an all-star team to try and, catch on, and it didn't really work out. And I came home and I was tooling around these semi-pro leagues, playing for $100 a day. And I had a good stretch, a good couple of weeks where I was playing really well. And this guy said, you should go play for Al Clocker, who was, I guess, like John and Red's head scout out in Harrisburg, PA. So I went out there and I practiced a couple times, and he said, yeah, man, hey, I had no idea what I was even doing there. I just said, okay, it was a chance to play. I drove the couple hours and I was playing. And he said, yeah, we want you to play against the Harlem Globetrotters. I said, excuse me? And they said, yeah, you're going to tour with the Harlem Globetrotters. I said, where do I sign? So I went down to Red's house down in Margate, New Jersey. And, it's funny when you meet Red for the first time, him and his wife and his dog, they all look the same. They all talk the same. And he brought me inside his home, and how many guys had been there before me, and he showed me all the, and you're just in awe when you look at all that history. And he said, okay, he showed me the contract. I know I didn't read it, and I signed it. And then I was supposed to go on a fall tour. It didn't work out. So my first tour was Disney's Wild World of Sports, where we trained, and Troy, I don't think I met till my second year, and Chris, the same thing. But I think half my team got fired in the first couple of weeks we were down there.
Why?
Well, it started out, we went to
Pleasure Island?
SeaWorld. Or something. And we got in for free. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. I know Jamal took over for the guy that got fired. And we came back, and the Globetrotter management was there, and they said, y'all can't do that. They fired the coach, our coach. Jamal took over, and Big Jason Yoder was my roommate. Remember Big J, Big Yoder? And then
Drexel, right?
Yeah. I just got in touch with him recently. He lives 20, 30 minutes from me. It's crazy. But yeah, I think I toured 48 states and 37 countries in my almost four seasons.
Wow. Okay, Sarge.
Wow. Yeah, just hearing these stories. I remember seeing, first tour with Nate, and then Chris and Kevin joining us. I'm from a little town, New Bern, North Carolina. Sweet Lou says, one stoplight, but no, we're right on the coast, and played at a high school, a very good high school team that my junior year, we were one game away from state title. But I moved here in 1980 from Virginia, and just fell in love with basketball. I'd always played baseball and football, never played basketball. So we got to North Carolina, went to school here in New Bern, and never really played until my senior year, and had a good senior year, and went to junior college. And after junior college, I went to a NAIA school, which is near here, about 2 hours away, called Mount Olive College, and got over there and had some family issues. My parents were going through a divorce, and I came home and I said, well, this is probably it for my career. And a coach, my junior college coach got in touch with a coach at a Division III school, Methodist University, and said, we need a shooter. They kind of played that Loyola Marymount, style. And he kind of wanted me to be like Jeff Fryer back, that guy could shoot real good. So I said, sure. And showed up, and the guy got fired, and spent my 2 years in Methodist. And it just happened to be working a basketball camp upstate New York at Siena College, and was playing pickup with Tim Burkhart, as you know, Early and Nate and Chris. And we played, that's when they were getting I think the Empire State team was getting ready to play down in New York City, and they got all us counselors together. And we played for, a couple of weeks, and Burkhart said, man, we would love to have you. So I sent in my information to Red and John, and talked to John, and signed the contract via mail. I didn't get to go to Margate or see Red's house or Gloria or any of that. And showed up in Dayton, Ohio, December of '94. Walked in the gym, that old gym. Remember that old gym, Curly?
Oh yeah.
Man, it was old. Walked in there, and I'm like, man, what have I got myself into? And I see this 6'11" guy with a flat top walking over, had 41 on his jersey with his big old paw. And he said, I'm Sweet Lou, and you must be Sergeant Carter. and from then on, we were, me, him, and Curly. And
well, hang on. We'll tell everybody why they called you Sergeant Carter.
Back in the day, there's some pictures back there you can probably see, but I had a good high and tight and looked like Sergeant Carter off Gomer Pyle. So me being from North Carolina, the Southern accent, the high and tight, Sarge stuck, and it was with me for 9 years. It was crazy when you had the guys up there the other night, and first thing Showbiz said was Sarge. So Sweet Lou calls me some other things, but Sarge stuck with me for those 9 years, and man, 36 different countries, all around the U.S. and had some great times with you guys and with Curly Boo, just sitting and talking. And that's one of the things that I miss so much.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. During my career, gosh, I played against so many great players that played under the Washington Generals umbrella. I know a couple of times they changed the name to International All-Stars, New Jersey Reds,
New York Nationals.
Yeah, I was never a general. I never played.
You were never a general?
I know Chris and I were New York Nationals. I never played as a general.
Right.
Yeah. And the guys always tell me, I knew Gloria and Red very well as John Ferrari and his kids. But guys used to always tell me about Red's house on the beach or something like that. So who all had a chance to go see his house? Because they said it was spectacular. Is that true?
I mean, it was a 3-story brick house on the beach. And Margate is a very wealthy community. And you can imagine, you pull in his driveway and you could see the ocean. And it was just beautiful. And the house itself from the outside didn't look like much, but beautiful architecture. And then when you got inside, I mean, it was amazing.
And Red had the basketball court outside as well, and he was legendary for, shooting, every morning, up into his 70s and 80s, I believe, as well. So he used to shoot it all the time.
The first time he came on tour with us, my first year, he came to LA at the Staples Center, and walk into the Staples Center, it was new. You're like, wow, this place is amazing. And we're down there shooting around, and here comes Red trotting his way on the court, and he wants to play around the world, and nobody wanted to play. I was like, I'll play. And they were like, KK, don't do it. I'm like, nah, he's what, 82 at the 78 at the time? I don't know. Like, hey, don't do it.
Right.
He went all the way around and back before I even got to shoot. He didn't miss a shot.
Yep.
The two-handed set shot, I never got to play. They looked at me and they said, "We told you not to play."
Well, a lot of people don't know that Red has an NBA championship ring. I think it was 1948 Baltimore Bullets, if I'm not mistaken. And, I joined in 88. And at that time, he was out on the road quite a bit. And then he would only come out for the ABCY World of Sports, or he would come out for when we played in New York, Madison Square Garden, when we played in LA, only the big marquee games. But he would always come on out there with that little penguin walk of his, and he would shoot that set shot, and we would have shooting contests with him. Man, he could back up pretty far shooting that set shot, and he was super accurate. And when you mentioned something, I can't remember who mentioned about his wife and the dogs, that they all looked the same. With him and Gloria, they were a match made in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they say that you end up looking like your spouse. They look like brother and sister, or the perfect match.
And they had that same calm demeanor, the way they spoke to you,
Is Gloria still around?
Last time I talked to John, I think she had passed, and I hadn't talked to Ferrari in probably a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think she passed. But what I was going to say, guys, was, I had the pleasure of being a player coach for 5 years. Of when Red would come out and like going to his room or having dinner and sitting down and talking with him, and just learning some of the history, some of the stuff that he had gone through, him and Abe, and start helping Abe kind of get the Globetrotter stuff together, and the stuff they dealt with back then. So here's some of those stories, and just learning from him was really cool. A lot of people didn't get that time to sit with him like that, and it was a pleasure. It was one of the things I treasured.
It was unfortunate for me. I think I met him one time for 5 minutes. My interaction was more with John Ferrari, who I thought was a great guy in and of himself.
Mm-hmm.
But I never had it. I never had an experience with Red. Which is a little unfortunate,
Yeah. Well, I got a bunch of questions for you guys, and you guys can just jump in at any time. But the first one was, what was your favorite country? All of you have been around the world. What was your favorite country to tour?
I'll let the rookie start it off, then I'll finish.
I would have to say, I can't say it was much of a tour, but when we were over in Europe, we went to Latvia and Estonia, and it probably wasn't as developed as it is now, 20 some years later, but the hotels were beautiful and the hospitality was amazing. And I don't even think we got out to go anywhere. But the people were very, very nice. Like they were like, I felt like I was as important as a Globetrotter. I felt like I was being treated like the Globetrotters. And I felt like they were so appreciative of what we were there for. I think we ate like kings when we were there. The spread that they would give us and the hospitality in the locker rooms, and it was only like maybe 2 days we were there, but it was wonderful. It was wonderful there.
I do remember that trip to Latvia and Estonia, in which we were treated so well, but when on our way to the venue to play the games, it was mass poverty. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It looked like a war zone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chris, the feedback coming off your mic is killing me, man.
Is it?
Yeah, it must be bouncing around. You got something on the. It feels like it's. Did anyone else hear that? It's like it's bouncing around his chest.
I did, but I wasn't gonna say nothing. But damn, Kevin has not. KK has not changed. KK never bites his tongue.
Listen, Chris and I talk often, which I had the pleasure of seeing him not too long ago as well. I drove out there to East Aurora, got to stay in his house, you know, meet his kids, and spent a night, you know, throwing back a few and reminisce. And so we talk often. We're both in education, you know, close proximity with each other. He's only about 5 hours away. It was a nice drive, but I can't hold my tongue with him, man.
All right.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Okay. All right, KK, since you jumped in, what's your favorite country to tour?
I'd been to some other countries, not while with the Globetrotters, you know, Belgium, Sweden, that I probably my two favorite, but I had the most fun. I mean, the European tours were great, but we must have spent 3 weeks in Buenos Aires. We were supposed to be there for like a week or two, and we sold out every game. There was 5,000 people waiting outside. They kept booking additional shows. And I remember the promoter kept taking us to Fridays after the games and just sitting and eating and drinking. And that was one of the rare times that we were treated, you know, and fed just like the Trotters, and, you know, all taken out. We got to sit at the same table with y'all. We didn't have to sit at the kiddie table, you know. Stuff like that. But the South American tours, because I had never, I had been to Europe as a kid, and like I said, I had been to some European countries, but I had never imagined myself traveling south and visiting those countries and getting to see all that, play, you know, 2 games a day for almost 3 weeks straight, hearing half the game in Spanish and half in English. That was fun.
Cool. Nate O'Neill.
So when you asked the question, the first couple countries that came to mind were Brazil. You know, we went to Indonesia, which was unique, and then South Africa. And I'd probably have to say South Africa was the best. We did, you know, a tour down there, got a chance to go on a day safari, which was really cool, right? And ended up actually like being in the bush, and an elephant came after our van for a little while. So that was quite an experience. And we also got connected with Mandela's family. There was, I think it was his niece that had us over to their house. So, you know, just being able to, you know, rub elbows with folks like that is, you know, an experience you can only get as a trotter or a general. So, yeah, I think South Africa was at the top of the list. Brazil was awesome just because, you know, we got a chance to head to the beach a little bit, and people there are just so vibrant, health conscious, and it was lots of good energy there. But yeah, I mean, again, just the whole concept of places never thought we'd ever be. I mean, Chile, you know, Uruguay, all that stuff. So tremendous experience.
Awesome. All right, Troy, your favorite country, but it's also a segue into the worst tour that you've ever been on. And sometimes it could be a great country, but the promoter could treat you like shit and make the experience of a wonderful place not very well. I mean, not go very good. So, Troy, what was your favorite place, and then what was your least favorite tour? And you guys can jump in after that, please.
Best tour I would say is there's a couple. Going to Australia was good. My first time going there, and then when we went on the South Africa tour and played for Nelson Mandela, that was really cool, like Nate said. And just I would say anytime we went somewhere was awesome. Because Nate, I will say one thing for Nate. We were in first time I think we were in Paris or France. Nate set up, we took the train into Paris and did sightseeing, just Nate and I. And man, I was scared to death getting on these trains being from Eastern North Carolina, and Nate had it all planned out. We got on the train, went into Paris and did some sightseeing, came back, and but yeah, the Australia and South African tour was really good. The one after going to France for a couple of times, man, I started hating going there, and it seemed like every year for like 4 years in the fall, we went to France every single time. And I can't remember that promoter, Curly, but every time everybody saw him in the airport, everybody just shaking their head like, oh man, here we go. You know what I'm talking about?
I remember him very well because he wore the same sport coat every single day for 3 weeks, and he smelled all to be damned. I can't remember his name.
He smelled like the guy from Sweet Lou's team that he was talking about the other night.
That's one of the funniest stories. Me and Mike Wilson was talking about that yesterday. That's one of the funniest stories. If you guys haven't heard Sweet Lou's story about his musty teammate and his high school coach, it's hilarious. But what Vielman was his name.
Yes.
Oh man, when he walked by, he was Pigpen. He was the French version of Pigpen. He was awful. And you didn't have to be close to him for him to get you. You could be 8, 9, 10 feet away. You know, like they got 6 feet apart now. No, he could get you from about 8 to 12 feet. He could get you mid-range.
And
if you had to ask me what my worst experience was, it was France. And I no offense, I hate to offend the French people, but my experience in France, I felt like every locker room we went in, there's like a bowl of fruit, and it was icy cold, and there was no hot water, and I couldn't wait to get out of there.
Yeah.
And then you'd go to Belgium, and it was amazing. You know, you were given everything. You know, the guy you'd walk off the bus, and they'd hand you those wooden tokens to go to the bar or the club that would get you those beers that were like 24 inches tall. You didn't need but one token, and he'd give you 4.
What was it? Vilman rode us in France for what, almost 24 hours? We had that long bus ride. We were on the bus for like 20 hours. And and he takes us to this resort and thought it was going to be, you know, that was going to make up for everything. Man, there were so many people mad. Burkhart was going crazy on that bus.
It was the worst going to France. And I think my last 6 or 7 years with the Trotters, I went to France twice a year.
Yeah.
Twice a year. And I ended up finding out that he liked me. So he would demand, you know, the Globetrotters, I want Curly Boo. And I, you know, that was nice, but I couldn't stand France, just like you guys said. I couldn't stand it. After I saw the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe or whatever, I didn't like it. It was only because the way that Vielman put us in the cheapest hotels, and he would ride us all night long. So France, I care not to go back.
What were they, Novotels?
Novotel. Wow, you got good memory. KK, what was your worst?
Yeah, no,
your worst tour?
I'm gonna have to agree. We went one particular tour, like Troy said, in the fall. The tour was, well, the way I was told, we were going to go to France, Spain, and Italy. Well, I heard Italy. I'm like, I'm down. Let's go. We spent 3.5 weeks in France, 4 or 5 days in Spain, and 1 day in Italy.
That's right. Yes.
I think we had one meal in Italy. We played a game, we had a meal, and we got on a bus and drove through the night. And we got to I don't know where we went the next. I was like, wait a second, this is why I came on this tour. What I want to stay. Yeah, I've been to France a few times, and as you know, like you said, Curl, I'd seen the Eiffel Tower previously, and there's really, you know,
the thrill was gone.
I think I was actually with Troy. We were walking through the streets in Paris or somewhere else, and KK, you better put your hands in your pockets. I was like, what are you talking about? KK, you better put your hand in your pocket and walk with your hand in your pockets. Not 2 minutes later, this little old lady had her hand in my pocket trying to take my money, and Troy's sitting like 2 feet back laughing at me.
Yeah. Wasn't it raining that night?
I don't remember. I just remember you knew what was going to happen 10 minutes before it happened. He's KK, just you better watch. You better watch. And sure enough, this little old lady tried to get me.
All right. Nate, what was your first your worst tour?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of bad experiences. Didn't really have a lot. I remember that first tour. One of the things that happened, we were playing in Chile, and it was Thanksgiving, right? And they don't necessarily celebrate it down there, but for all of us, it was Thanksgiving, and it was the 7:30 tip off. And for whatever reason, I think there may have been like an accident outside the gym, or who knows, like maybe the promoter didn't make the payment or whatever. But we didn't start the game until like midnight. So we were just hanging in the locker room. That feeling, like once you get to the gym, you want to get loose and go out and play, right? And then there's all that time just sitting around, and they're not. This was Chile, right? So it wasn't like the Boston Garden where you had a nice, or not even the Boston Garden, but Madison Square Garden or wherever, we had a nice locker room. So that was rough, and we didn't finish the game until 1 at night, or 1:30. Fortunately, we got back to the hotel, and the hotel had planned like a Thanksgiving dinner for us. So we had turkey at 2 a.m. and Daryl Dawkins was actually on that tour. And kind of a side story about that. I remember, obviously, like the strongest individual anyone has ever seen. Like, so we're playing in the game, and it's real basketball time, and he gets the ball in the post, and I'm on the wing, guard to guard, and I go to double down, right? He's got the ball in the post, I'm going to double down, and he's got the ball, here, and I reach in, and I'm like, oh my God, I got a chance to strip Daryl Dawkins, right? And not only do I get my hand on the ball, but like I got my whole arm around it. Like I cup the ball, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to strip Daryl Dawkins. He makes his move, lifts me up with the ball. I go flying across the lane. He finishes. I don't think he ever knew I was there.
It's great.
Strongest individual ever.
I do remember he was wearing the short shorts past the short deadline. And I would ask him I'm like, dude, man, you can get bigger shorts. You can get them any size. He said, man, you understand, I'm sexy. I'm from Lovetron. I'm big sexy. I'm like, okay, man. Yeah, but he wore his shorts very tight and very short.
Yeah. Well, speaking of,
I was going to say another couple of things on that same tour, or maybe it was another one in South America. A couple of things that happened. We were playing in this really remote area. It may have been Argentina, but they like tried to treat the gym floor or like reseal it during the day, and it was like really hot and humid, and it didn't cure or whatever. Mm-hmm. And literally, like the sealant was like an inch thick across the whole floor, right? And we're slipping and sliding, and obviously we got to, the fans are there. We got to play the game. So it was like literally almost like playing on an ice rink. Like nobody was jumping, and it was obviously a unique experience. So certainly remember that. There's one other thing. I can't remember now, but maybe I'll remember. But go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say about Thanksgiving. We've had Thanksgiving. In Germany, they said they had a nice meal for us, and they took us to a nightclub, and all you hear is that techno music. And they had a steak for us on Thanksgiving. Man, I was so salty. and then we were in Japan, and my room overlooked Tokyo, and I'm up there with a hot plate eating ramen noodles for Thanksgiving, and everybody at home was having turkey. I was so mad. So that made me think of that, Nate, on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Yeah, my first year we were down in Disney. Red came down for for that first game. We had like 5 or 6 days of training camp, and then you play a few at Wide World of Sports, and then you ship out on your tour. Well, it was Christmas Eve, and Red was like, I'm going to take you guys out for a good dinner. And we're like, hey, all right, we're not home with our families, and Red's going to take us out. And you walk out of the Sheraton down there, and we went to the Shoney's next door, the $6 buffet.
Hey, it was the buffet, right?
It was the buffet.
All you could eat.
Talk about salty, Troy. Man, we were.
That leads me into a question by Steve Fisher. You remember Steve Fisher, some of you. He was the announcer for several years. He said that who had the best money-saving strategy as a Washington General? Who had the best money-saving strategy?
It's Troy Pennington. I heard my first week on the tour, I was hearing stories about him, and he was on the East Coast and I was on the West Coast.
Legendary.
It's like, you got to save like Sarge. He still got his first dollar.
Sweet Lou used to say I'd squeeze George so tight he'd have 2 ponytails. Them hot plates. Remember that, Curly Boo? Everybody had hot plates. I learned from Billy Ray. Billy Ray's one that taught me, him and Sweet Lou.
Yeah, but Billy Ray burned up a hotel room trying to slow cook some steaks on an oven while we were playing.
He just let him
Came
go.
back to the hotel, and the fire department had completely washed out his room. He had tried to slow cook some steaks in the oven in the hotel room. So you had a hot plate. I don't think you had an oven, right?
No, I just had a hot plate and those universal chargers so you could plug it in and stuff. Right. And didn't the promoters get mad? Was it France? The promoters got mad with us because we weren't going out to eat. Everybody was, I know our guys were staying in the room eating peanut butter and jelly and ramen noodles to save that, $50 a day. Yeah, save that per diem. And I think they got salty because we weren't coming out eating in the restaurants and stuff.
There was definitely a strategy when you get that money, that first time you got that cash per diem, and you got it in it, the whole week's worth at once. You were like, "Whoa, this is all right." I could go out. And Troy was like, That's not how it works.
By Friday, KK, you were my first player coach, and by Friday, I think I'm asking you for an extra $20. Extra $30. I would send my check home. And I would save some of it for the better cities where we would have a chance to go out and things like that.
Yep. Everybody needed their hot plate, and then we tried to use our tickets too. Like, we get to the city and then, go to the restaurant, say, hey, each of us gets 2 tickets. We can, parlay. Doug Stewart was an expert at that, parlaying to trade the tickets.
Doug Stewart had the gift of gab, without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So anything to save that diem.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, Tim Merrigan, who was a referee very early in my career, what was his nickname, Sarge? Was it Flash? Well, he asked, how many cans of tuna do you guys think that you ate in a tour?
I never went.
That wasn't my thing. I didn't do it.
Yeah, for us it was the ramen. That was the staple. Ramen in the hot pot.
Okay. What was your favorite hotel on the road?
It's got to be the Super 8, right? I mean, that's where we all that was the mainstay, right?
I would say West Coast, it was La Quinta after La Quinta after La Quinta.
Yeah.
At that time, Curly, wherever they had a decent continental breakfast.
I agree with that. I remember one time we were in Texas, and we showed up at late at night. It was after the game, and the hotel smelled like cat piss. And I called John. I got John on the phone, and I hate to do that. And I said, John, we can't stay here. This is brutal. And he's like, well, where are the Globetrotters staying? And I said, they're at the Radisson. And he said, oh, I can't put you guys there. And I'm like, but John, we can't stay here. Like, it's bad. It's just, I'm not doing it to the guys. There's no way.
Wow.
And we ended up staying at the Radisson. It's one of those things where when the Globetrotter, the New York Nationals bus pulls back in to the Globetrotter Hotel, they think you forgot to drop somebody off, or you forgot something. They didn't think you were staying the night.
Let me talk about.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I'm sorry, man. Oh, damn. I'm sorry.
Nate, do you remember Johnny? Was it Johnny Balaj?
Johnny Balaj.
He was a left-handed kid from upstate New York. Speaking of tuna, he ate tuna about every night. So we're in Paris, and he would open it and put the tuna on the ledge. Well, one night I got ready to go to bed, and man, I hear all these cats. I'm like, we were like on the second floor. I'm like, what are these cats? I look out the window. There's like 3 cats up here trying to get to these tuna cans. It was the craziest thing ever. True story.
Oh, damn.
That's great.
Well, I have 2 people that asked basically the same question, and that's my sister Vicky and a gentleman by the name of Tyler Northern. And they basically said the same thing, or asked the same thing. What was it like being unsung? What was it like being the internal underdogs of the world's greatest basketball show?
Well,
So from my perspective, or go ahead, Kevin.
no, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, right, it's a pretty quick transition, right? You go from being a competitive basketball player to, wanting to play competitive basketball. Then you get out on tour, right, and you realize what the opportunity is, right? It's an opportunity to, travel the world, right? It's an opportunity to meet some awesome people, and still shoot around a little bit and stay in shape and that kind of thing. So, for me, it was a pretty quick transition, and just knew that I wasn't going to do it forever, and just tried to soak everything in. So, the losing really didn't get to me that much.
I was going to say that the first week or 2 was really hard because you start to realize you're never going to win, and that they really, as good as you could be at some aspects of the game that I probably wasn't, like going to the hole and trying to dunk on people or whatever, you had to almost erase that from your game. So if you could shoot the ball, if you could pass, if you could be a good teammate, you could have success out there. But knowing the first couple of weeks were really, really hard, knowing that we could play the best game of our lives and we could do everything right. We're not going to get the foul call. You're not going to get that and one. Once in a while, you'd show up on the road at a small college or somewhere in the Midwest, and you'd have people dressed in green with a green phone, rooting for on that one night. And that when you think about, you played 100 games in 105 days. That was your U.S. tour, right?
Yes.
You got 1 or 2 nights out of that where you had some local fans cheering for you, pulling for you. It kind of made it all worthwhile.
Yeah, I don't remember what the number was, but if I think KK used to say, hey, if we lose by 20 or less, that's a win, because you got your show points. But I tell you, some of the things that I remember, it was humbling, obviously losing, but what was humbling was when Manny Jackson would come to town and he would watch practice, and that's when it got real, because when you're guarding, when someone like me whose vertical might not exceed 28 inches, when I'm guarding Chris Bruton and he's playing his hardest because Manny's there, oh boy, that was an eye-opening. That, people often ask me, are the Globetrotters really good? And I'd be like, are you serious? Like, you should don't just watch the show. You should come watch practice when the owner's in town, because that was when it was sometimes most humbling.
Well, we got really fortunate too to stay competitive at a young age. And Chris, you were obviously much older. You were like almost in your 30s at that point. But the Globetrotters at that point, if you remember, they were putting together their competitive team that went out and played, Michigan State and Iowa. So they had that for 2 years. I was on the they had that competitive team. So we had that 2-hour competitive practice every day, if you wanted to call it that. And you got to be competitive at your will and do the things that you couldn't do in a Globetrotter game. And I remember Wayne Turner, if you remember him from the University of Kentucky, 3-time All-American. That was my first season with Troy, and we had another point guard. He got hurt. Troy got hurt, and now I'm playing point guard against Wayne Turner, and I really couldn't dribble that well. And Troy looked at me and he said, "There's only one way to learn right now, KK."
Wayne Turner is one of the best on-ball defenders I've ever seen.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now, just man, playing with you guys, Curly. I always tell people I played with some of the best athletes in the world. The some of the best players, athletes, and man, some of the best people. I can only say out of my 9 years, there's probably not even a handful of people that I could not stand, and that's we got along as a family. Man, it was we went out every night, and these guys will tell you every night if they played for me. I can't speak for Burkhart, but when they played for me, we went out to do the best we can to try to keep it 20 and under. We had some shots of, that one shot of winning there in France. And I forget what year it was, but one year and said, if y'all keep it 10 and under, I'm going to buy y'all steak dinners. So that night, man, we were knocking threes down, and we kept it 10 and under for a couple of nights. And then Mike Wilson, his nosy self, got wind of what was going on, and then we just started getting hacked. But man, we went out every night to try to battle you guys and play. And that's one thing I can say with these guys here, going to war with them and trying to keep it close, to have a great game for the fans and do our job. Let's do our job, get off the court, have a good time. And like they said, it was always nice when somebody would come up and say, you know what, man, you're bigger than what you look like on the floor. Well, when you stand beside Sweet Lou, he's 6'11", and you're 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
We are tall, but when they said, hey, you guys, I see that you guys can play, that's where I feel like, and I'll speak for all of us, that's where we got our satisfaction.
That's cool.
So
that's cool. Tim Merrigan, Flash, has a question. Who was your favorite referee? Because the referees traveled with us, and they also traveled on your bus. So who was your favorite referee? And who was your least favorite referee? I mean, you guys can say it now. They don't have to ref another game for you ever again. So it is what it is. So who was your favorite referee and your least favorite?
I only knew two in my 4 year. It was Barry Terry, and Yancey. Those were the only two I knew. That was it.
Okay.
I knew Barry Terry, and then he was training somebody else on the road in the U.S., and I don't recall his name, but Barry Terry I thought was great. His mannerisms and the way he became part of the show, he was great. And Showbiz would go at him. He would go at Barry Terry.
Troy, who was his name Jimmy, the white guy, little white guy?
Jimmy Poulos?
Jimmy Poulos. He was a manager too.
Yeah, he went on to become road manager. Yeah.
I was in a couple games with him, and that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, let me move on. Here's another question. This is from Todd Hollis. Who was your favorite Globetrotter coach?
So when I was doing it, it was either Tex and Geese, I think, were the only guys.
Charles Tex Harrison, Hubert Geese Osby, both Globetrotter legends.
Yeah. And I hard to choose. Geese, it was great talking to Geese, right? You just had that special attention to what he was saying, right? Because he talks so soft and it's kind of hard to hear, but always the big smile. And then Tex, of course, I already told the story about what he did in Argentina. Another story about Tex I remember, we were doing a doubleheader in Maine, right? So a weekend doubleheader, and they used to play the game in the afternoon, and then you have the spread in the back, eat a meal between games, and then go out to the other game. So, and it's a buffet, and we're all sitting around, and Tex goes back up to the buffet table, and our road manager was Jeff Munn at the time, and so Tex looks around, he's looking at the buffet table and goes, "Ain't got no dessert? Where's Jeff Munn?"
That sounds like him.
Like the biggest crime in the world happened, that there was no dessert for Tex during the between games.
He left an indelible mark on anybody that was around him.
Yeah, I can only remember Tex. Tex is the only one I can remember.
I had my first year, Clyde Sinclair was coach. The challenge was thinking back, so many of them got fired, and then they came back, and then they got fired, and came back, and they got fired. Clyde, Sweet Lou was in and out as player coach. You sit on the bench, sit at the scorer's table. I don't know what he was doing half the time. Troy, I mean, you probably been through 30 Globetrotter coaches.
Just Geese and Tex. I was always mainly with after Geese kind of retired. It was Tex, and mainly I traveled with Tex and Curly for that part. So, but yeah, I remember Clyde. But he became the coach for a little bit. But man, it was just Hubie and Tex, two great. Geese was just awesome. Tex could get on your nerves at times, but he meant well, man. He was all about that show, and you know, but he'd get on your nerves a little bit. But Geese was just one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet.
Has anybody ever traveled more than Tex? Did he end up with the most air miles of anybody on the planet?
Absolutely. 50 years with the organization. 50 years. 50
And how many days out of every year was he on the road?
The Tex, that was his life, man. That was his life, and I was around him, and he hired me, and I was around him all 18 of my seasons. And one time, I was actually dating a girl from Houston at the time, and I went down to visit her. So I went over to Tex's house. It was the first time that I'd ever been to, in so many years, I'd ever been to his home. And he was not Tex at his house. He was Charles. I mean, I knew his wife, but I saw his wife, I saw his kids, I saw his beautiful home. He had a pool. He had a Maserati in the garage, big Mercedes and everything. Tex had on some linen pants and some leather sandals. It was like I didn't know this man. I'm like, I know Tex. Who is that? I don't know that dude. So Tex was out there longer than anybody, longer than Abe Saperstein, I believe.
Wow.
I got another question for you guys here. It's from Kelly Millington. Did any former Washington Generals become Trotters? I know several of them, but that question is for you guys.
Clyde Sinclair is one that I learned that when I first got out there. Clyde, Ty Randolph played with us in South America for a game or two, and
Greg Bell.
Yep.
There was another Curly Johnson too, wasn't there?
Pardon me?
There was another Curly Johnson.
Yeah.
I know. I tell people that they don't believe that shit at all.
He went to
there was
Lamar,
another Curly Johnson.
He went to Lamar University.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was wasn't a Trotter for long, but
he wasn't, and I was okay with that because they were calling him Big Curly and me Little Curly. I didn't like that shit at all. But anyway, go ahead.
There was another one, Little Chew, Charles Smith. He was there
Smith.
How long was he a Globetrotter for?
I can't remember.
I don't think
I can't remember.
It took him a while to get there, but I don't know if he was there long.
Did Yoakum ever make it? Did he ever make the transition?
I don't think he did.
Wendell Daniel, I
played with my first year, but they, correct me if I'm wrong, they hired him to fire him.
Why? Because he was killing us?
He was one of the most competitive human beings I've ever been around. And when he played for the Nationals, I mean, you couldn't stop him. He was so physically gifted.
I remember he about broke my wrist. I remember him.
So physically gifted. And he didn't truly grasp the concept of the show and that it wasn't about us. It's about the show and the Globetrotters. And I remember when they hired him a week later, he was gone. That was it. And
Wendell, I played with Wendell on a couple of tours, and his nickname was Bulletproof because he was just so big, right? Big barrel chested. And he was from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yep.
And yeah, they used to say he was so big, he was from two countries.
He should have been on a football field.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he could have been
Agreed.
an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, here's the last question I have for you guys. Who was your favorite Globetrotters that you remember, and your least favorite, and what trick that they would do or play or whatever that astounded you, that wowed you? Jump right in.
That's tough. That's to ask for a favorite, Curly, is tough because
That's why I said, you got to say
You trying to
several.
build your ratings, Curly Boo, trying to build your ratings, create controversy?
Dude, hey, that's one of the questions. That's one of the questions.
that's tough. To be honest, to name a couple, I won't name one because I don't think it would be fair. Yourself, you were very hospitable. You understood who we were, and you were very kind in knowing that, in the way you treated us and everything. Mike Wilson, Mike's probably to this date top 5 funniest people I've ever met in my life. I love being around Mike. Showbiz, probably. I don't know if I spent more time with Showbiz on the court or with him with a cigarette in his mouth, but he made me laugh more than most people have ever made me laugh on this planet. The three of you stick out specifically. Shot was really he was really a nice guy. Herb Lang was a great guy. I can't name one. I hate to say my least favorite, but someone who I got into it a little bit with when we were competitive was Manny Nunnery. If you remember Manny.
Yeah.
Very, very athletic, very, very competitive guy. He played more during the competitive part of the show.
Right.
But he didn't like me. For some reason, he didn't like me. And I knew it. And so I can't say he was my least favorite, but he's probably the only guy I didn't technically get along with. But for the most part, you, Showtime, Showbiz, and Mike and Shot were probably some of the. I mean, I feel really lucky to have had the opportunity to be on the court with you guys, but also just to sit in the hotel and play dominoes and, to quote movie lines with Mike Wilson was probably, man, some of those times are just they make you laugh all day,
Yeah,
That's cool.
I don't know how you ask for one, man. That's kind of messed up.
It is.
You and Donnie Boyce, when I put you in a category of you never let us take a day off. So even
talking about me and Donnie Boyce.
You and Donnie Boyce, there were days you would grab me by my jersey as I sat on the practice floor, and you'd say, "Come on, KK, we gotta go shoot." Every day. There wasn't a day that I was on tour with you that we missed.
Right.
And when I wasn't on tour with you, it was Donnie Boyce. And he's like, "Come on, we gotta go shoot." And there's some days where you're on the bus for 6 hours.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
It's a wild thing.
Oh, man.
Had a little surprise for you guys.
And my boys, man, my boy Sarge, my boy KK and Chris, Nate.
Mike, the light in the background is kind of blinding you out a little bit. The light. Okay.
Sorry about that, man. I'm moving around, but I didn't get a chance to play with Nate, but I heard great things about him. I think we may have did a tour or two, man. But
yeah,
those are my guys, man. I love this episode, man. I'm glad you guys had a chance to have a platform, man, which is awesome, man. I miss you guys, man. I remember meeting who house did I go? I went over Chris's house. I went over Chris' house and met his wife and his kids, man. Me and KK used to wreak havoc through the locker rooms all tour, man. And I was listening to you guys' program, man. I think it was easier for everybody, man, when we were in other countries, man, because we all rode one bus pretty much. Yep. We all stayed at the same hotel, man, and there was no division, man. I know some trotters were kind of hard to deal with, but I really tried to make it like, look, we're all one family, man. You guys were awesome, and I still tell people, some of my closest friends were the opposing team that I played with. I was really close to Chris and KK when we were on the road, man. I was just talking to one of the former trotters the other day, and named Jesse Drain, Super J. And we were talking about how me, him, and KK, we started this group called the Wolf Pack. We were
doing Hulk Hogan impressions in every hotel lobby we walked into.
Yeah, man. So I think you have those dogs, man. I had a couple of bulldogs. I always remember you telling me, man, that you wanted a bulldog.
Let me tell you, I have two in my house right now. One of them is gray, just like you had. I remember you telling me. We talked about that for days. I remember. Yeah, man. I have this past year. I had some old family videos restored. That were on like those old, film strips and whatnot. And in that group of videos that I sent off to be restored was some Globetrotter footage.
Oh, wow.
Me, Mike, and Jesse in South America Hotel, running around people's hotel rooms, acting a fool like Hulk Hogan. And
yeah. I got some of that on video too. I got some of that, KK.
Just for the record, Sarge was the cheapest. Sarge on a European tour, Sarge was spending $50 the whole time.
But I would always come to your room and say, "What's your goal to what you're going to save?" Didn't I?
And I think I'm saving big. And Troy would always have twice as much as I would have, man. So. But I feel you guys, man. I listen to you guys, and you guys hit the nail right on the head, man. About, I don't even call it France, man. I just call it the F place, man, because they treated us. It was so bad over there, man. It was really bad over there. Chris, me and Curly was just talking about you yesterday. They played dominoes a lot on the road, and we weren't good domino players. You remember Curly was teaching us how to play dominoes.
Oh yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I remember coming off the road wanting to play dominoes with my friends at home, and they looked at me sideways every time, like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Come on, no one knows how to play dominoes."
Yeah.
What was it? Pluck too, Curly? We played Pluck.
What'd you say?
What was it? Pluck? We would play the card game.
Yeah, that was Texas game. Pluck. That was the game.
Hey man, some of you guys don't let that the competitive part fool you. I keep telling those guys. Some nights you guys used to give us pure hell. We used to have to bring them down the middle. Bring them down the middle again.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh boy!
Let me tell you,
no biz.
What's up? What's up? I hear all them lies y'all telling, man.
I was telling someone a story the other day about they were asking me about my touring days, and they had been to a Globetrotter show more recently, the last 5-6 years. And they said, that showman was so funny. And I said, let me tell you something. This guy I toured with, Showbiz, might be one of the funniest human beings on the planet.
Without a doubt.
Funny looking or funny?
Yeah, with his cracked lips and menthol breath. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I remember. Hey, KK, I remember that. On the ring where he was shooting a half-court shot.
That was, when you played against Showtime, Paul, you knew what you were going to get. He was great at the script. His demeanor was funny, and he made people laugh. There's no doubt about that. Showbiz, you had no idea what you were going to get.
No.
Did he shower that day or that week? Did he smoke before the game? He would look at me half the time. I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you spoke with a microphone on where I was the only one that heard you. And no one, like 18,000 at the Garden, didn't hear you say, "You got any chapstick, KK?"
I gotta bring up the boom boom room.
Oh no!
I had the pleasure of making an appearance a couple times there, and when you get invited there, you are in family.
Hold on,
Oh,
tell
yeah,
them what the
it.
boom. Not everybody knows what the boom boom room is. That's watching. Tell them what the boom boom room is.
You can't tell everything, can we, Show?
No, look here. Hey, the Boom Boom Room was like it's like the after party, man. It was an after party, man. You got to look at it. You can't come in, empty-handed sometimes. You got to come in with something in your hand. You know what I mean? But you're going to have a good time, man. We're going to laugh. We're going to joke. We're going to have a great time, man. So the Boom Boom Room was, reserved for some of the elite, man. But, we let a few in.
I didn't attend the Boom Boom Room too much.
I did. I got kicked out.
The funniest time was when Clyde come through and you watch Clyde clean his sneakers.
Yeah, man. With a toothbrush.
Yes.
I actually have a picture. I think I have it on my phone or somewhere where me and KK, we're actually standing side by side, man. We're throwing the Wolfpack sign. I don't know if you have that picture. Yeah, that.
I remember, I'll never forget the first time I ever met Mike. My first year touring, you were on the other side. And then the next year I was with you, and I had to, on that ream, the magic, where you came from on the baseline and basically jump over the backboard. I remember, I think it was Troy. Troy said, "Now, don't get caught looking." And I said, "What are you talking about? Like, I know this ream. We've done it, literally, we've done it 100 times. And he said, "KK, this is different. Don't get caught looking." So here we go, Curly drives through. I come over and put my hands up, and there I am, just watching. Next thing I know, Mike's on top of me, hanging from the rim, trying to put his feet on the backboard, and I'm in his way.
He always trying to tear the rim down like he was strong. He ain't had no power.
The rim, you could tell it was Mike because the backboard never shook.
Never.
That's
But look
all
at
right.
you,
man,
you and Zard, y'all was some fouling generals, man. Y'all was foul somebody.
Hey, man, I won't blame you, man. They didn't get any calls either, man. So I wouldn't blame you. I was fouled too. Hey, what the hell?
You knew you were playing against Showbiz when you had scratch marks on both arms.
Yeah.
Nails.
Hey, man,
nails.
I'm back on this F place, man. I mean, we ate so bad over there, man. We ate everything on the menu for McDonald's. We ate at McDonald's for a quick burger every day, man. Every day. It was bad, man.
And look at, I don't care where we at overseas, Clyde's gonna find him a Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah. And what was bad, man, we would be in those countries like Spain, and we would get there and everything would be closed. What is it called? Siesta?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd be walking around starving, Didn't have anything to eat.
Yep. That hot plate, baby.
Well, look here, fellas. I wanted to bring on some legendary Globetrotters, man, who have a lot.
Lucky you just got one. Sorry you couldn't get but one.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. You don't count.
Yeah. Hey, Curly, ask Showbiz who was a legend first, me or him. Just ask.
I was.
Tell the truth.
I was.
Tell the truth.
Hey, you was on Central Time.
Oh man, my face is hurting.
I was still the day before. You number what? 30? You 33? I'm 32.
No. I'm really number 23. They just waited late to give me mine. That's all.
No, man. You know that. Hey, I was a legend before.
Hey, Mike Wilson, you keep talking. I'm coming to steal your ring.
Hey, you can have it, man. I'm still a legend, man. I can't believe it though. Man, when I got the call, I couldn't believe it, man. I was, I don't know if Curly wants to share that, man, but it was just, I felt kind of unworthy. You know what I mean? Because a lot of my peers that I felt that were more deserving than I did, it hadn't got a ring yet. I know it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, but it's no fault of yours, Mike, man. You did your thing while you was out there, man, and it was well deserving, bro. So don't feel that way at all, bro. I played with you. I saw the alley-oops you went and got. I saw what you did night in, night out. I mean, I can only speak for like, just being my personal feelings. And I done played with a lot of Globetrotters, man, but it's been only, like I say, 9 or 10 that I knew that brought it every night. And I never had to worry about you and Curly Boo bringing it every night. So, and that's a tribute to what y'all did to enhance my show, man. So, I'm proud and glad that you are a legend, man, and you are well deserving of that. So don't never take that for granted, my brother.
I appreciate it, man. I
mean, to echo what Showbiz said, I think that's what I told you, Mike, when you got the nod, was that, But I appreciate what you said, but I echo exactly what Showbiz said.
Yeah, man. Like I said, a lot. I mean, I think this COVID thing, man, is a blessing and a curse. I think it has taught us, man. I'm not far from KK. I'm not far. I live in DC. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we're not far from each other, man. When the smoke clears, man, hopefully, man, we just stop talking about trying to get together, man. And maybe, man, we'll, spend some time. It won't take anything to hop up the road, man, and drive some hours up there, man. So,
we all need to get a reunion, man, and see one another, man. That's
I
agree.
I agree.
I'll get the gym. I just want to play one-on-one with Showbiz to pay him back for a few of those fouls.
Hey, I still got the fouls. Hey, I still got the fouls in me now. They ain't went nowhere.
Hey, Show, are you still down south?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta.
Hey, Curly.
Yeah.
Nate, where are you living, man? Nate, where are you living?
Yeah, I live in the East Bay, San Francisco Bay Area. Cali.
Oh, man.
You're in San Francisco, man. I be out in Cali all the time, man.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about it with a couple other generals. Like, we do need to just go to when the Trotters are in a big city for an extended period of time, like have a reunion there. We got to make that happen.
Hey, man, they don't even play like that. KK, you remember they said you said it was 100 games in 105 days or something like that. They don't play like that anymore. I mean, they don't do that. I mean, think about that, man. We wasted a lot. Globetrotter years are like double years. Think about all the games we played, man. Think about it. Yeah.
And I haven't followed a Globetrotter season in a long time. But if you think about an NBA season is 82 games, right?
Yeah.
In how many days with a trainer, with a training room, with rehab, with all that stuff? We played an NBA season plus playoffs in the time they play half a season.
Well, y'all would get salty with me, KK, when I give y'all a day off a week. Remember that when you first come out, I make them sit down one day a week to rest, and they'd be salty with me. But I said, you got to do it to protect your body.
Yeah.
Your timing will be
paying the price now.
Yeah.
Me too.
Hey, you paying the price, man. My Achilles, man. Man,
you hurt your Achilles the other night, man, when they stole the Capitol and you was under the bed and hit your ankle.
Well, look here, fellas. I wanted to bring on these two legendary Globetrotters and I talk to them at least once a week, maybe more, Showbiz and Mike. And we talk about you guys. Well, of course, we talk about our Globetrotter teammates and our time traveling the world, doing our thing, but you guys were a part of that. And I try to tell people when they talk about the Washington Generals, and they may bag on you that you guys lose every night and whatever, but I tell them that you guys were great ball players and you were great people. And everywhere that we went, you guys went. You guys got to see the world. You guys had a chance to see things that people can only dream of seeing. So you were right there along with us. I love meeting you guys and battling against you, but also getting to know you as gentlemen. And now we're adults now. And this is bonding through basketball. Basketball has brought all of us here together during this pandemic, having a good time, talking about some great, great damn times. So thank you for coming on tonight. Troy, thank you for geeking me to say, hey, man, why don't you have the Generals on? I had a good time tonight. I had a great time seeing you fellas. And then I wanted to surprise you and bring on two of your favorite Globetrotters. I know I asked you guys who your favorite Globetrotters are.
I know all you guys said me,
There's
right?
two of them
I know
right
you said
there.
me.
Huh?
I know you said me. I know you guys. It couldn't be.
Hey, let me say this, Curly. Let me say this before we go. I'll speak for the Generals as a player coach. Thank you to you, Showbiz Mike, for teaching us the ropes, teaching us the road. Man, being brothers, being friends, and just thank you for all the times that we had together, man. We, 9 years for me out there with you guys, and when I left, I didn't miss running up and down the court. I missed you guys. So thank you for being my brothers and teaching us. And I do miss the time sitting in the locker room talking with y'all, doing a silly dance, and then sitting down with you, Curly, talking about life. So thank you guys. And Chris, Kevin, and Nate, man, we had some great times, and just thank you for staying in touch, man. I love you,
man. Well,
awesome,
Sarge, we appreciate you, man. I want to tell all you guys, man, our success out there on the road, man, was predicated to what you guys gave night in and night out, into the show. It never was a night that you guys never did come up to the standard that we served and we tried to produce for the fans. So I want to appreciate y'all for giving everything you had into it. And like I said, man, when this thing is all over, man, hopefully we can get together and reunite and see one of each another and, man, just have a ball.
Yes,
I don't want to see you. Nobody want to see you, man. Nobody want.
Nobody want to see you, Otis.
Nobody see you. Hey, man, honestly, I'm going to say this before I leave. I'm not going to get all sentimental like Curly then, but, hey, man, KK was such a funny dude, man. KK could do impressions of anybody, man. He could do Hulk Hogan. Hey, man, he could do the Crocodile Hunter, man. We used to go around and get on people's nerves, man.
My first ever impression was of Smokey. Remember him? 6'11", string bean Smokey.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
And y'all used to call me White Smoke for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That was Smokey. That was man, you guys, man, were the best, man. This is one of my favorites. I watch Curly's parts. I mean, his whatever you call it, his little Zoom calls, whatever it is. Not little, but I watch it all the time. And this is one of my favorites, man, because he, I know for a fact, he handpicked you guys for a reason. You guys, you are a bunch of good guys. I talked to him about who the people that he was going to pick. And I was like, oh, man, all those are my boys, all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that's a testament, man, to how you guys carried yourself out there on that road, man. And like I said, I'm closer than you guys and some of my Globetrotter brothers. So KK and Chris, you guys, you know how close we were, man. So
yeah.
If you think about it, Mike, we were the original Wolf Pack before the movie The Hangover.
yeah, we were.
We were the original.
We whoop some names and take some butt, man. Well, that's what we did.
I'll tell you what, I'm 47 right now. I would give anything to go back in a time machine 20 years.
Yeah.
Just to play with. I'm 46. Sorry, my wife just reminded me I'm 46. But I would do anything to go back to 2001 and just sit there and play dominoes, Curly, with you and Showbiz, with him with 2 cigarettes hanging out of his mouth. 5 minutes to game time. Man,
if you think about it, this time 20 years ago, we'd be walking off the court right about now, getting on a bus. Going back.
Yeah, but I don't miss. Think about this, Troy. You say you played 9 years. I played 10 seasons. Think about those 10 seasons, man. You're away from your family. You're away from your son. I mean, during Christmas time.
That's what y'all talked about, man. When y'all had Sweet Lou and Paul up there, this was our family. You guys are our family.
Yeah.
And we spent more than we did anybody else. So.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. So hopefully, man, we can do this again soon, man.
Yeah, this only scratched the surface. Yeah.
I want to hear about what I wanted to hear about some of you guys. Most of us have families out there on the road, But I was talking to one of the Trotters, man, and he was talking about he was single, and he would come home from the road. I know Curly was single at the time when he was playing too, but he had a lot of stuff going on, so he kept himself pretty busy on the road. But for some of those guys, man, they would just come home and they'd just be like, okay, what am I going to do? After about a week or two, they didn't have anything to do. So I don't know how that felt, man. So
Right.
All right, fellas, I wish you all the best with everything that's going on with this pandemic that we're having to deal with, the divisiveness in this country. But that divisiveness in our country does not exist amongst us. We always going to be brothers. And this is bonding through basketball. So Chris, good to see you, brother. Nate O'Neill, good to see you. It's been probably 14, 15 years since I've seen, Chris, Troy, Kevin. And
it's been a long time, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Mike, you see that, Mike?
What?
There you go. You're on my wall too, dog.
Oh, wow.
Got some brothers on the wall.
My son, he's 8 and he's starting.
God damn, you gonna let me wrap this shit up or what, man?
Oh, listen, I gotta tell you this. I gotta tell you this. Listen, this is
Lionel.
He's starting to get into hoop, and he sees the Globetrotter pictures on the wall, and they did an activity at school where they showed a video of some current Globetrotters, and he asked me if I played with them, and I was like, no, I didn't. He's like, well, who'd you play with? And I tell him I played with the best. I play with the best, all the legends. And he says, well, I want to see them one day. I want to meet them. And I was like, all right, well, we have to make that happen.
Hey, man, make it happen, man. If you say the word, man, make it happen, man. For a while, man, I was coaching and I was up in your area for a time or two, but I had, it was taking me away from my family. I was like, shit, I should have stayed. I could have stayed on the road, so I stepped away from coaching. But like I said, you're in Pennsylvania, right?
I'm in Jersey.
Jersey, yeah. My bad. You're in Jersey. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's what, 3 hours away, 3.5 hours away, man. So
it don't matter. Like I said, if I drove 5 hours to see Cassellny's sorry ass, I'll drive to see you.
Hold on. Can't see that, can
you? All right. All right, before we go, anybody got anything else to say, man?
No, just thank you.
Kevin,
just thank you. That's it.
My pleasure.
Sarge, I got something. Sarge, throw those pack of Vienna sausages away, man. The expiration date is done, man. Throw them out.
Potted meat, baby.
Yeah, throw it out, man. It potted meat actually has an expiration date, so throw it out, man.
All right, y'all.
I love you, brothers.
Curly.
All right, man.
See you,
everybody.
See you soon.
Man. Love y'all.
All right.
Love you guys.
Thank you, Curly.
Thank you, Curly.
Thank you, Curly.
You're very welcome.
Nate, Kevin, Chris, love you guys.
You too.
Guys.
You too, Troy.
Be
Good
good.
luck to you.
I shall be.
All right.
Okay,
Curly,
gang.
thank you. Thank you, my friend.
Very
Thanks,
welcome.
Boo.
I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for coming on.
Definitely. See you, buddy.
All right, Chris. All right, y'all. That's a wrap. That was fun. Travel the world with those guys. Good to see them. On Monday, we have Metamora 2017-2018, coached by Danny Greaves. This team was the greatest team, or at least the team that went the furthest in Metamora Redbird boys basketball history. They get down to the final 8 and they have a very, very controversial game in which I'll just say it, they got jobbed. But they will be on Monday to talk about that sensational year that they had that ended kind of tragically. You might as well say it, but that's what's coming up for Monday. You guys have a great weekend. I wish you all the best. I can't talk tonight. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you Monday.